anyone who is thinking that they can just start a community and make 700K a year or $1 million a year, tell us like what kind of sacrifice you have to make.
I feel like there are many ways to make money. For me specifically, if I were to start a community in 2024, 2025, I would just start by small and just like seeing how people connect, what did they ask for help on, and then how to like really grow a community and deliver value is like learning from your members, like what are they struggling with, what do they need, what would they pay for, and offering services that align to that.
So you started with a few hundred people, now you have 150,000, right? In 4 years. How did it grow from like a few hundred to what you have today?
I feel like I just focus on...
Is there anything you did that like grew the community a lot?
I've noticed that whenever we host in-person events, a lot of people join. It builds this kind of like relationship with community members that now they become like super fans, they tell all their friends.
There's so many channels, right? Which one is the most profitable and contribute to most of your revenue?
So it depends. Sometimes we could get like...
Grace.
Howdy.
So you have the largest design community in the world with what, doing 700K a year now in revenue?
Yes, I do.
How do you do it? Okay, first of all, let's talk about what is your design community?
Yeah, Design Buddies. Hi everyone, I'm Grace. Excited to be here. We actually hacked Half Dome together the other day. Last one. Design Buddies is a design community. The goal of Design Buddies is to help make design learning and jobs more accessible around the world. I started Design Buddies when I was a student back in April 2020. I was studying engineering at that time, and I felt the need. Well, I felt the desire to work in design, so I love to draw, but I felt like really lost in the world of like after college, how do I break into tech? And this was so confusing. So I made this community called Design Buddies because I didn't know anyone else in design and I wanted to learn design. And then, yeah, it was April 2020. And today we have a total audience of 150,000 and like over 2 million on Instagram. I'm able to like travel around the world, host parties, run education programs, create content, dance on LinkedIn, and also help designers land jobs along the way and feel like they can be themselves. Like the reason why it's bunny themed, hence why we have Long Bunny, Carrot, and Bunny. We're Bunny here today is I just love bunnies. I think they're just cute, and bunny sounds like bunnies, and and like I always felt like growing up, I was always like the class clown, and I thought normal was boring. And instead of like conforming to everyone in the corporate life, why not just celebrate everyone's differences? And I just try to be a good example of that.
Super awesome. And you started it not very long ago, right?
Yeah, just 4 years ago.
It's 4 years ago. And how many members are in the community right now?
We have a total audience of like 150,000. So the breakdown is like 75,000 on Discord, a bunch in our newsletter, LinkedIn, all that. And also we have an Instagram account with over 2 million followers as well.
Wow, 2 million followers. Yeah. That's insane. Only in 4 years. And a big part of that 4 years is also part-time, correct?
Yeah, I started Design Buddies in April 2020. And because I wanted a job in design, I played a lot of games. Namely, a lot of my career was shaped by this game called MapleStory. This MMORPG, I just love everything about it. And my dream was to work in a games company. So I did. I worked at EA, Electronic Arts, from like June 2020, started there as an intern, later did full-time, and I quit my job there in April 2024. Specifically on April 1st, because I thought that was funny, and I hosted a I quit my job party, invited my parents at Bunny House on 420, because I thought it was funny as well. Yeah, so and after I quit my job in April, I just been like vibing and like traveling around the world, throwing parties, making huge business decisions with Design Buddies, creating lots of content, and basically took from like 100K ARR to like 700K ARR.
That's crazy. And how did studying Design Buddy change your life so far?
Oh, so amazing. Like, so growing up, born and raised in Silicon Valley, yeah, I know people call it Silicon Valley. Like no one native really calls it that, but I don't know. I just think it's fancy. I grew up, both my parents are from Taiwan and Singapore, and they got here because they were going to grad school. now they're both professors, really into education, PhD, and all my life they're like, Grace, you are going to get a PhD as well. And I was like,
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
pretty much every Asian parent.
Yeah, doctor, engineer, lawyer, or failure. And I chose failure.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, because growing up, I wanted to be like anime artist. Like I drew comics a lot in class. I did art a lot. I was really big on like deviant art and Tumblr. I was like a really nerdy kid. And then I came into actually my like another aside is my mom just started paying me to go to the gym with her.
Mhm.
That's how I got really fast in running. And then I wanted to study bioengineering in college because I wanted to biohack myself to run faster. But I told my parents and society that I was pre-med, MD, PhD, neurosurgeon. So I was like, I cared a lot about what people thought of me. And then I later studied computer science, picked up Silicon Valley computer science. But the main thing throughout my childhood was I was really self-conscious about what people thought of me. I was also bullied when I was younger, and like, yeah, I can, yeah, that's another rabbit hole. But I overall like grateful for that experience. But I just like cared so much. Also, like growing up in Cupertino, all the kids were like, "What you got on your SAT? Oh, you're great, blah." Oh, and the Asian kids are like, "Oh, my kid went to Harvard. Where your kid go to? My kid played the tennis." And so my upbringing was like that. I was also an asshole of a kid, like because school is hard AF. Man, I don't know if we swear on this podcast, but school is hard AF. And my grades ain't that great. But I was flexing my mile time. So I was that annoying kid asking people what their mile times were. So I just like cared about what other people thought of me. And how design base changed me was I realized that like building a community, I get to understand and see many different perspectives in life. That success is not just like your job title or your skills. It's all about like the friends you make along the way, the skills you gain, the experiences you have, and how you can help other people and uplift each other. Not just like, oh, look at me, I am like top of my class, or like I am the master designer, I am senior designer, whatever. Like it helped me like instead of like thinking of life and success as like a title base to more like how are you just like highlighting celebrating everyone's like individuality instead of like focusing on like really like quantitative metrics.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think growing up as an Asian, a lot of times it's like, is your job title, what you do is like super, super important. That's where like half the status, how they like value status in the world, right? But I think the modern days, right, it's more about like the impact you're building. I think that's like way more fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I want to like touch a little bit on. So you mentioned you first started Design Buddy when you were product designer actually yourself at EA, and what initially made you start the community?
I wanted friends. I was really bored at home at my parents' house, and I wanted friends to learn design from. I specifically wanted a job as well. I'm not shy to
Are you
admit
that
that.
lonely?
No, I wasn't that lonely. Like honestly, I had friends, but specifically, I wanted a job, and I was like trying to get a job in UX design. Like, so I actually ended up studying like bioengineering and computer engineering. I don't have a design degree or boot camp, and I got ghosted everywhere when I tried to apply for like entry level jobs and internships and UX product design. And so I was just like, all right, they just ghosting me, auto rejecting me. Why not? I just like make opportunities come to me instead of me reaching out all the time because it's annoying. So I just like built a design community so I could put my name out there, which ended up helping me get a job 2 months later, helped me grow a big following on like LinkedIn, and ultimately helped me land a job. But I realized even though my initial motivation was like, yes, I wanted friends, I already had friends, but I also feel like, I don't know, like I was like a weird kid. I've grown a lot since. I didn't really have any lifelong friends from college because I spent too much time studying, which is actually my number one regret. So I didn't really have that many close friends. And then I created Design Buddies because I wanted more friends that are following the same career path as me, and I wanted a job. And then after I got a job, and it's like 4 years later, I was like, well, what, 3-ish years later, 4 years later, yeah, I was just like later realizing that corporate life isn't what I want to do. It was such a great experience working at EA. I learned so much as a designer, but I think chasing job titles and climbing the corporate ladder, doing that is not the life I want to live. Because what I really want in life is time and location freedom. But I definitely think it was really good for me to work in-house as a designer. And I learned a lot, and I wouldn't be where
Did you already know that like you're gonna one day quit your job to run this community full time when you first started community?
Did you already have that vision, or was it?
No, I had no idea. Like design buddies, I just started it because I just like generally wanted to connect with people and also like meet people. I didn't think of any way business model. I was just like, I just want to make fun stuff. Let's connect and like have a fun time. I actually like didn't make any money for the first 2 years, and then I realized I can be making a lot of money because I have insane distribution, and it's all about how I position myself to people, and then making more money than from design buddies than my actual job was a big factor why I quit. Also, this is gonna be like just kind of like diving into this is just me speaking my experience and not behalf of the company. But I was the most youngest person on my team at work, and I felt like I was always told to do the work that no one really wanted to do. And it wasn't like directly design work. Like I love working because I love to improve my skills. I like to make an impact, but the work I was given, I feel like I wasn't able to make impact. And when I asked questions to understand the business aspect of it, I was just met with, you should just shut up and do the work from what I've interpreted the response to be. So that was just like something happening. And that plus me making more money from design buddies, feeling more fulfillment in my work in design buddies also helped me make the decision to ultimately leave. But overall, I'm just like really grateful for my experience there. I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't worked in design.
Very interesting. And
So you were lonely. You wanted more friends. You started the community. How did you initially start it?
like, did you just reach out to your friends who are designers, or do you reach out on LinkedIn, cold, or like how?
Yeah, so the thing is, I reached out to other communities. So I was in this Facebook group called Asian Creative Network.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know about that.
Yeah.
I know about that.
And I really like that group. I made a lot of friends through that group. And I didn't know, I feel like that group might have some UX designers. They have all time creators, but not UX design. So I was like, does anyone want to start like a design messenger chat? Just chat about UX design. Because I was already active in that community, kind of familiar with it. And then like 200 or 300 people commented on it. So I added them all to like a messenger chat. And
So it started out as a messaging chat.
yeah.
So like basically a few hundred people in the group chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we ran out of space. It got full. So
Okay.
I made a Discord server and it grew even bigger. So Discord has like no limitations to my understanding. So made a Discord server because a chat on Messenger, like it's like some people are asking for portfolio advice, some people are asking for like straight resources. It just got kind of like messy to follow in one chat. So Discord had like different chat rooms, which I really liked. And we started hosting like virtual meetups. And then how the Discord server grew was initially the Asian Creative Network, that random post I made. And also like I still am very shameless in promoting myself in ways that I see appropriate. So for example, in COVID, there was a lot of webinars online. And I noticed that in the chat, people promote their LinkedIn a lot. And I promote my LinkedIn as well. But I was just like, join the fastest growing design community. You're not going to miss out. You're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
And that got a lot of people.
You're just like a really good hype person for your community.
Yeah,
right?
you gotta be loud and proud. So anyone who wants to start something, you gotta be your number one biggest fan, man.
Join the bunny.
Yeah, you gotta join the bunny. I was like so loud and proud, and like definitely, I know there's a lot of people who think I'm like cringe, but I think that's like really funny because I'm making people feel something. That is like my goal in life. I want to make people feel something, and then also. I've just like, I think I created a lot of like design content on LinkedIn for myself, and people from my LinkedIn discover design buddies, and that's how I find out. So it's a combination of like leveraging existing communities, hyping yourself up in ways that seem appropriate. When I see other people hype, I was like, okay, it's my turn. I never like want to be the first one because I don't want to be like really obnoxious because that's also bad for your brand. But when people like promote themselves, I was just like, all right, 10 or more design buddies. I still do that. Like, if I'm ever in a webinar as a hero promoting, I'm like, woo, I'm one of these. And then also just creating content. And I love creating content because the more things you put out there, the more people you see it, which increases your surface area of luck. So the more you post, specifically LinkedIn, if you're into career stuff, the more people see it and more people would join and find out and more opportunities will come.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think you are like a definition of a hype woman.
Thank you. Riz is my job. Like my job is literally Riz or like chief vibe officer. That's what I call myself.
How was the early community members like?
Are they students? Are they people working already as a designer? Like,
Who are they?
Mostly students, actually. There are some people as a designer as well, but majority is early career, like people trying to get into design. And I think that's normal because usually people with be senior in their role, they have families, they already are established, they're not out there seeking out to connect with other designers because they already have a career established.
Yep.
So it's still very early on. It's still the majority of our community, but we have people who joined 4 years ago that are now senior designers and they're actually like helping mentors. So it's been really nice to see these like initial junior designers grow up to later help out and get back to the junior designers. But still mostly people like university students and career transitioners.
Very interesting. Yeah, it makes sense that like the early members are students who want to get access to the design ecosystem, right? The design community. So you started with a few hundred people. Now you have 150,000, right? So in 4 years. So that's really impressive, right? Like, how did it grow from like a few hundred to what you have today?
I feel like I just focus on being active and doing stuff. So we host a ton of LinkedIn like online events, design challenges, create content, create social. So just having a lot of things going on and also allowing other people to host their stuff on Design Buddies. Like people want to give a talk, they can give a talk. They want to host like a co-working session, they can do it.
So like allowing other people to take part of the community.
Yeah.
And then they feel a sense of belonging and they invite more people.
Sense of ownership and they invite more people, yeah.
Yep. Very interesting. And it just like grow primarily words of mouth that communities grow like that? Or like, is there anything you did that like grew the community a lot?
I feel it's mostly word of mouth. We've been pretty stable for the last 4 years. Like we haven't really slowed down, but it's been like very stable growth. I've noticed that whenever we host in-person events, a lot of people join our community because I feel like in person, it builds this kind of relationship with community members that now they become like super fans. They tell all their friends about you. That's why I'm like very bullish on in-person events.
Yeah.
And we've been doing them in San Francisco and also all over the world as well.
Where have you hosted your events at?
I hosted them in Singapore, Istanbul, London, SF, Vancouver, Seattle, LA, Miami, Atlanta so far. And up next week, we're going to Seoul, Korea, and then Singapore, and then Bali, Miami, and Bangkok.
That's
and
like
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
For the rest of this year. Yeah. I don't know about Antarctica, but I'm just going there. Hang out with the penguins.
That's like at least 10 different, more than 10 cities. I heard. So that's crazy. That's crazy to have like such a big
global reach of like
designers starting from just like a few hundred people in the messaging group.
Thank you.
And so you mentioned you're now at 700K recurring revenue per year. That's like insane, especially, when it's just like you and just like 2 other people in the team, right? And how are you monetizing the community? How do you get to 700K?
Yeah. So a lot of it was investing in relationships and not tying everything I do to ROI. I believe in just putting in the work and asking for the money when it feels right.
So how? Like, what are the channels?
Yeah, I'm happy to spill all the tea.
I'm like digging into the details.
Happy to. I love talking numbers, by the way. Happy to share. I'm happy to share like more like through DM. But like, so this is how we work. This is all public information out there, but not the sponsorship stuff, just because we offer like flexible pricing sometimes for different sponsors, just because we try to make it accessible for sponsors to believe in. That's why I can't share specific sponsor numbers here. But for our business model, so last month, I made a huge business decision to merge with my friend's company, Leon, who is building UX Go. And he's really great at interview coaching, and he's helped like thousands of people like break into tech, like get jobs in tech. Yeah, and he's been running UX Go. Basically, we partner up with startups, like very early stage startups who are building something in emerging tech and social good, and pair them with designers. And designers are in our cohort. They can learn design, and we also pay coaches to teach them design. And as they learn design, they get to work on a real world project on a startup. And after the cohort ends, the startup can also like hire them after if they want to, but they get design work, and startup is continued building that relationship. So startup wants to hire more designers, they can like pay us to like source more designers as well. So investing early on before startups have any money, but are doing something cool, and we believe in the founders. That's the thing. Also, we have a paid membership now. People can pay $30 a month if they want to access more premium content by our coaches, as well as personalized career support. Because we pay coaches to basically answer questions on our private Slack 24/7. And we also built a couple of SaaS tools. One of them was actually the AI startup we tried to build and decided to like go bootstrapped and not go the VC/YC route instead. That I can also unpack too. But we're also offering that tool now as part of our membership. And basically for B2C side, consumer side, we are selling your dream job. So basically these things are services we offer that help designers achieve the dream career job, or at least the first job out of college. And
So you help them with some like recruiting like services?
Yeah, like interview training, resume prep, growing their skills so they qualify for the job, and matching them as best as we can with talent, with recruiters and startups and big tech who are hiring.
Very interesting.
And then the other side of our business model, which is the one I'm mostly handling, is our B2B side. So this is through sponsorships, through events, content creation, hackathons, and affiliate links. So I host a ton of events, both in person and online, in person around the world too. I create a lot of content, mostly like short form videos, like TikToks. I read a newsletter as well, 2 newsletters actually, one for Design Buddies.
Wait, the newsletter is also monetizable?
Yeah, because companies will pay for ads.
Oh shit!
Oh yeah, newsletter is a huge business, right? Like
It's huge, and because it's not like social media, the algorithms always change. Newsletter, you're guaranteed to get delivered.
You're already monetizing through a newsletter?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
They
insane.
don't pay for ads if they want to be in our newsletter, and I try to do it like every week.
And your meetups also charged or like?
So it depends. Most of them are not, because I believe in using these meetups to have a good time and cultivate relationships. So a lot of them are sponsored as well. If a sponsor wants to be like Design Buddies plus sponsor, then they would pay us to do it. And then basically for our sponsor stuff, we take care of all logistics, and all they had to do was show up and talk about the product. So that's why we charge like a couple of K for that. And then we also do like affiliate links. So we have like different courses or different services. People can like get a discount from us, and we get a cut of that as well. So I managed all basically the top of funnel in the marketing and the content stuff to help channel people to premium memberships and our course.
Okay, my next question.
And I think most people want to know, there's so many channels, right? Which one is the most profitable and contribute to most of your revenue?
So it depends. Sometimes like we could get like 60K in sponsorships from my company. Sometimes the cohort, each student, we charge like almost 5K for a student. And our memberships right now, we have $30 a month. We have 800 paying members. We're trying to get to 5,000 paying members. So right now it's very like in flow, but we're really focused on the memberships because that is like more recurring revenue. Cohorts we run 4 times a year. We have 30 to 40 students paying almost 5K each. We also have a lot of overhead costs because we're paying coaches, and we also paying an employee to help us grow and do admin work. And we also hire devs to build out our website. So essentially all of our profit, we're not really keeping it. We're using it to reinvest in something bigger so we can make more profit. So we're trying to do memberships right now because that is the least time consuming thing to run.
So membership is getting
more and more becoming like slowly become the main
revenue contribution.
That is what we're working towards.
Very interesting. Yeah, because it's actually very high volume, high margin compared to like services, courses, all of that takes a lot of like
creating content, dealing with sponsors. Like I love content creation, and I love like promoting brands that I would promote, but sometimes it is a lot. But I'm also like really grateful to have these opportunities, but trying to do more. What I'm really chasing is time and location freedom. Like I still love creating content, being creative, but I don't want to be chasing sponsorships and basically having like a business model just like an influencer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know a lot of people, want to start their own community, right? And it's a great business and it's something that you can bootstrap to. What are some of the tips you have for anyone who is trying to build their own community right now?
Yeah, it depends what you're trying, I guess, like just gather people based on a certain interest. Like communities are people who come together based on your interests, and just start by talking to your friends who might be in it, making introductions. The community is like made up of people, so making connections. Like you notice like this friend likes that, match them together, and then like yeah, just have regular meetups and increasing opportunities for them to connect with each other is helpful, and then just grow bigger and bigger. But just focus on like how can you like connect your existing people, how can they help each other, and just make that like nice ecosystem of friendly people helping connect each other and helping each other out, learning from each other and growing there. My approach to community was just like threw everyone in a Discord server and it just went viral, which I don't know if it's easily repeatable, but it was during COVID when everyone was trapped online. But if I were to start a community in 2024, 2025, I would just start by small and just like seeing how people connect, what did they ask for help on, and then yeah, and just try to connect people. And then how to like really grow a community, deliver value is like learning from your members, like what are they struggling with? What do they need? What would they pay for? And offering services that align to that. For example, in Design Buddies, people want a job. And so that's why we try to increase networking and education programs to help them get job ready. So yes, connecting people at first, discovering needs, and then building services and products based on those needs to monetize the community. And I do believe that you can have money and a business. I know a lot of people also think of starting it as a nonprofit. I am not a nonprofit expert, but I would against that. I would against having a nonprofit. And the reason is you need a board of directors and like a lot of paperwork and like to make everything tax deductible. And it's also generally very hard to get grants, especially if you're like in the tech space. But for us, we're helping people make more money. So it doesn't make sense for us to be a nonprofit. And then also like it helps to be able to like pay people to do things. Volunteers are great initially if you're not making any money, but people stay committed when they have stake in the game as well.
Yeah, I've started a nonprofit before. It's the paperwork was on point. It's a lot. The only upside, not the only, but like one of the best upside is that you can get it tax deductible. People involved will donate to you. You can write that off.
Yeah, it depends on your industry too. Yeah. If it's like for social good, it makes sense. Like serving food or helping giving medical supplies to like people who need it. Like that makes sense. But if you're looking to do like a career development community, helping people make more money, I explored the idea of making Design Buddies a nonprofit. They're one to give us donations. So, yeah.
Nobody wants to give you a donation?
I didn't really ask for it. I explored it, but mostly companies want to pay us to promote them. So it's not really a donation. So it's a sponsorship. But it was like much easier to do than like doing all the paperwork and stuff.
So for anyone who is thinking that they can just start a community and make $700K a year or $1 million a year, tell us like what do you have to go through? What kind of sacrifice you have to make in order to reach this goal?
It depends. I feel like there are many ways to make money. For me specifically, biggest regret I have is actually I spent too much time studying in school. I don't think it led to my community though, but actually it did lead to it in a way because I feel like in college, the reason why I don't have any lasting friendships was I basically spent all my time in the library and didn't really make time for my friends. And I regret that. I regret, like, I wish I spent time living, hang out with friends, traveling more, instead of just like focus on trying to get a good grade.
And like what kind of sacrifice you have to make that like, to like in order to reach this like 700K.
That experience motivated me to live life to the fullest. Like I realized that after graduate college, I feel like I don't have any fond memories in college because I just cared too much about my grades. I was just like, you know what? F this stuff. I'm not gonna like focus on one thing. I'm just gonna do everything. I'm gonna have the best time. I'm gonna have the best friends and travel the world, be free. Because I feel like I wasted so much of my time. I'm so motivated to basically chase time and location freedom and do it in a way that helps other people along the way. So just trying to help people and doing good and also having mentors to know how to make money off it. Seeking that, like constant learning, constant trying, it really stems from the motivation of me feeling like I wasted my whole college experience in the library. Like honestly.
And if you can go back into, let's,
4 years ago we were starting Design Buddy, what would you have done differently?
Oh man, I actually almost quit Design Buddies 2 years ago, August 2022. The reason is there are some people on the former leadership team who tried to cancel me because I wasn't.
What?
Yeah.
What? What?
So you remember how in 2020, like specifically June 2020, when people were like really woke because they had nothing better to do, like
Yeah.
woke, like
Yeah.
expect you to like virtue signal everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the former Discord admins back then, they expected me to acknowledge every single social economic inequality out there. For example, if we were to do Black History Month in February, they're like, how dare you not acknowledge Black History Month for the UK? If I want to do Christmas, how dare you celebrate Christmas?
What
Because
is
the whole
that?
world doesn't celebrate Christmas. And yeah, I thought I was a bad person because I was celebrating Christmas. Like it was so much like gaslighting. And it was like really messed up looking back. And I like no matter how much I tried to like quote unquote educate myself, it was never enough for them. Like they're like, Grace, you gotta like virtue signal. You gotta acknowledge we are a yeah, DEI, yeah, community, yeah. And like we're a design community. We can do social justice, but it's like not really my place. This is like we're trying to design here.
So that's very interesting. How did you deal with that?
Oh, they tried to throw a crew against me. They had several like intervention calls.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and the reason why I almost quit is I felt like a failure of a leader. I thought I was in the wrong for not acknowledging every social justice inequality and not doing virtue signaling in my community. And so I thought as a leader, I was brainwashed into thinking I have to do that outside of the thing I'm focusing on, which is design. And yeah, I felt really hurt by that because my community brought people together who tried to break it apart. And I was just like, I thought these are my friends. They tried to cancel me because I think not exactly what they did. It's been a while and I try to like not remember it, or it's not really important anymore, but it is a big turning point of my trajectory of design studies. It's how I'm able to make so much money now and also have the best friends and have the best time is that really motivated me to work hard and just help people and realizing that no matter what I do, it is impossible to please everyone.
Yep.
And not everyone's your target audience. The loudest people sometimes are the most insecure, and it's not my responsibility. I just try to like do good to my best of my ability, and no matter what happens, it happens. So I think.
And how do you dealt with those things before, and how would you deal with it today, or is it you think you have dealt it well before?
Before I didn't do anything because I didn't know what to do. I was just like, damn, they're gaslighting me. They're telling me I'm a bad person for not acknowledging DEI every day. It's so.
DEI every day.
No, I literally felt that way. And also, yeah, anyways, this is a whole rabbit hole, but yeah, I also had a similar experience at work. I'm not going to dive into on this podcast, but I was like pretty burned by people who, I look like a minority, right, in America. And so like, they kind of like expect me to just do it. Yeah, I just like didn't do any. They had another chat, and I don't really know what happened, but they just tried to throw a crew one day. So I was like vibing in Alaska on the cruise with little Wi-Fi, and then they like pinged everyone on Discord, and they're like, "Hey, I'm very concerned about the direction where this community is going."
Like Design Buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Because
everyone, because I think I was just like not acknowledging enough DEI over time, and just like kind of bubbled up to that.
Wait, is your community like not diverse enough? Like, what's the problem?
I don't really know. I don't really know what people are like. I just know they like design, and as long as anyone likes design, they're welcome. I don't really know.
And also, like the Design Buddy is your thing, right? Why do they care so much? It's not. It doesn't has nothing to do with EA.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why. I feel like in 2020 people were just like really woke and had nothing else to do, and maybe like I don't really know them that well, to be honest. I never met them in real life. Maybe.
Oh wait, you didn't meet any of your colleagues in real life?
No, never. It was during COVID, and they were like not in my city.
Okay.
And they are also the ones that would like really moderate design buddies really strictly. For example, if they disagreed with someone, they would just shut the conversation down. Like, for example, if someone says designers can learn how to code, and they're like, designers should not code, and just shut it down. Like, no arguing, that's a waste of time. Like, no arguing, no disagree with me. So like that kind of person, you know? I think we all might have those kind of people in our lives. So yeah, how I would deal with it now is it depends who it's coming from. If it's a person I respect, then I would want to ask why, what is the problem you're facing? How can you work together to solve it? If it's just a person that's random person, then I just ignore because I don't know, don't have time for that. So yeah, that's how I deal with it now. It just depends who it's coming from, what the stake is. If I'm just like genuinely curious, though, I would just ask them like, why do you think that way? Or just ask them why. But you know, gotta pick your battles too.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So we're nearing the end of the podcast. Can you give a couple sentences? Why should designers join DesignBud?
Yeah, it's free. You can make friends, and it's not corporate. It is like fun. You can be yourselves. You don't have to change to fit in. And I'm just doing the best I can to make it fun. I try to be really open-minded, listen to feedback, and just have fun. Be as inclusive as I can, but not having to acknowledge that I'm very inclusive. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Shout out to Design Buddy.
Yeah, thank you. This is long fun. The god of AI.